I was having a conversation with a mom who had recently discovered my channel, and she was telling me that she found my videos to be helpful in breaking down what she thought would be very difficult conversations to have with her primary age kids. She asked me if she should be saying people with a uterus instead of females when explaining where do babies come from, or would that be too confusing to a child in the primary age? Now, this is a great question. Would using the term people with a uterus be more inclusive? Absolutely. Can you use the term female? Yes, of course. So she asked me, well, what do you recommend? I'm Kathleen, and I make YouTube videos for parents on how to talk about sex and answer sex questions that their child may have. Now, as a sex educator, of course I teach inclusivity. Of course, I believe in the importance of sex education from an early age, and I also accept that all families have different values and beliefs when it comes to sexuality. So to answer her question, do I recommend that parents use the term person with a uterus? Yes, but are all parents actually ready to jump into using that term right away? No. Let me illustrate what I mean. I was speaking with a different parent, and she was telling me that she knows she should be calling her child's willy a penis, but that she finds the term to be very strong sounding, and it sounds so grown up. Would I recommend to this parent to use the term person with a uterus when they aren't comfortable saying the term penis? No, I wouldn't. I believe you have to meet parents where they are and educate them on the conversations that they're going to have with their kids over the next few years, and then talk with them on how they plan to do that. My intent here on It's Time for the Sex Talk for Parents is to give parents the information, education, skills, self-efficacy, as well as self-confidence to say, I am ready to talk with my child about sex. I'm prepared to answer their sex questions and provide them with medically accurate information in an age-appropriate way, and then I'm going to share my family values with them. And you know what, parents? All of that doesn't happen overnight after watching one YouTube video. It takes time. In my very first YouTube video, I explained the importance of using medically accurate terms for the genitals and saying the words penis, vagina, vulva, and anus with your child from the moment they are born. Now, please don't go back and watch my very first YouTube video. It's all kinds of embarrassing, but the point I am trying to make here is that for a large majority of millennial parents, just saying those 4 words is a hurdle. So in my experience as an educator, you've got to meet folks where they're at. And if where they're at is learning to say basic anatomical terms, then we start there, because it's better to have a starting place than to never begin. Now, once you've become comfortable saying penis, vagina, vulva, testicle, scrotum, anus, urethra, uterus with your child, then you can add in more inclusive terms into these talks. Using inclusive terms isn't hard to do, but we've been conditioned to use binary terms up to this point in our lives. So it will take a conscious effort to stop using boy, girl, man, woman, but the potential impact on our kids can be huge. Saying a uterus bearer or a person with a uterus or a person born with a female reproductive system are just a few of the terms that are more inclusive than saying just girl or woman. These include transgender individuals and non-binary folks who don't identify their gender as a woman, but still ovulate and menstruate and therefore need gynecological health care. These terms are a great start to conversations about the different types of people there are in the world, that gender is fluid and that people can wear any clothes that are available to them and, of course, are appropriate for the weather outside. That your reproductive system does not equal your gender identity, and that bullying someone for expressing themselves in a different, unique, or gender-bending way is never okay. If you want to try out using gender-inclusive language with your primary or intermediate age child, just try and fold it into a conversation. If you already have a book that you've been reading with your child and it says women have eggs and men have sperm, just try swapping out the terms and say, instead of women, say a person born with eggs, and instead of men, say a person born with sperm. When I did this with my 5-year-old using a book that we have read a lot, she corrected me and said, females have eggs. And I told her, you're absolutely correct. There are some people born with a female reproductive system. What other parts are included in the female reproductive system, I asked her. And she was able to rattle off vagina, uterus, ovary, vulva, and breasts. I praised her for knowing so many different parts of the female reproductive system, and then I asked her, what if a person was born with a female reproductive system, but then as they got older, they didn't feel like they were a girl or a woman? She thought for a moment and then said, I don't know. I said that person might be called transgender, and she said, oh, like so-and-so, because we have friends that are transgender. And I said, yes. So we say he's a boy, we use the pronouns he and him because his gender identity is that of a boy, but he was born with the female reproductive system. So that's why I said a person born with eggs earlier, because he also has eggs. So if he decides he wants to become a parent one day, he may choose to use his eggs in order to make a baby. And she said, oh, okay. And that was that. This type of response is really common in the primary age because kids are genuinely interested in learning as much as they can about the world around them. And also they haven't been living in a binary world as long as we have. And so they're just more accepting and open to using these terms. And this needs to be said, teaching someone the word transgender and explaining what it means does not make someone transgender. What it does do is it helps them to understand the world that they are a part of and be accepting and understanding of the people they may meet. If you're thinking, Kathleen, come on, this is all a bit much, right? Using all of these terms in order to just be inclusive to the transgender and non-binary community, if you're thinking that, then this would be a good point in the video to talk about how you can include your family values in using gender inclusive language. You can say something to the effect of, some people feel that it's not really necessary to use gender inclusive language, nor are they accepting of gender fluid, transgender, or non-binary individuals. In our family, we believe it's important to be inclusive and accepting of all individuals, no matter their gender identity. And one way to be accepting and understanding is to use inclusive language, like a person born with a female reproductive system or a person born with a male reproductive system. And just a reminder, it is never okay to bully someone, and it's definitely not okay to bully someone or exclude them just because of their gender identity. And if your family values are not inclusive or accepting of transgender and non-binary individuals, it's still important to explain what is transgender and non-binary to your child in a medically accurate and age-appropriate way so that they are educated and informed. And if you need help on how to do that, I've got a video that can help you. I'm Kathleen, and I'll be back next week with another video. In the meantime, if you want to join me over on Facebook in our private Facebook group, the link to the group is in the description below. And if you've watched all the way to this point, go on and hit that like button. It really helps me out. Thanks so much.